lot of time left. It's only a 7-point difference at the moment.
Mike, headset goes off. What does that mean?
You're focused. Dying. You want no distraction, no music influence, none of the above. When you look at Zach's eyes, terrified. I'm telling you, there's no blink there. Look at that. No distractions. None.
We can hear Justin Jefferson actually talking. By the way, Justin Jefferson, just so everyone out there knows, how good is this dude, this rookie out of LSU for the Minnesota Vikings? He's 11th right now in the NFL in receiving yards. He's played 2 less games than 3 of the guys ahead of him, all right? He's 6th in yards per game, receiving yards per game at 89.5. He's also got 3 touchdowns to go along with it. He's got a 71-yard reception this year. This guy, this UA athlete, Under Armour athlete, is the real deal, Mike.
This isn't his rookie season. I mean, he's been only excellent everything he's done, from high school to going to LSU to now being in the league. I definitely don't want to try to cover him. I don't know that would be an option anyway, but I'm not gonna. It's not gonna look good for me. This is the most hype that I've ever seen in recent times. A completely unrelated note. You see these reactions, taking everything personal.
Are you trying to tell me that I should say he's too hype? Anyway, back to this one. Los Pollos and LSK. You're just joining us. Los Pollos playing as the Nets. And LSK playing as the Lakers in the second half now. It's a close one.
Like this, it's going to come down to that fourth. We've seen a couple opening matches that were decided by the time we got to the fourth quarter. So we didn't necessarily have that nasty nitty gritty. Who's going to close it out? Who's going to see this out? Who's really got the heart? Who's ready for those clutch moments? We never got a piece of it. That was never in the storytelling. It wasn't part of the novel that we're reading, or that's developing, or that we're writing, or that the pages are turning. It wasn't there. But this game's a little bit different.
Thank you for that, Scott Fitzgerald. Backer in the chat says Edelman better. I think that's talking about Justin Jefferson, and I can tell you that is definitely not the case nowadays. Julian Edelman might be a fringe Hall of Famer, but he ain't better than Justin Jefferson right now. And there is LSK going inside that bully ball. That's how he's going to get this victory over those players.
It's easy to
quieter
see.
Los Pollos.
Yeah, well, it's easy to see what LSK has going for his strategy, his game plan. Los Pollos, is running for more of a live or die by the 3.
You're my obsession. You're pulsing through me.
Which might be how the Nets play this coming season. With Steve Nash at the helm. Steve Nash, what? He played soccer, right, Mike?
He's an amazing soccer player. On a side note, really gifted. He was living in New York for a little while before he was getting his new job. So he was coming to some of the pull-ups or pickup games or even like playing some leagues there, and he's spectacular. You also got to remember, Steve Nash is huge for a soccer player, which even though he might be one of the smallest, if not the smallest guys on the court, when you're talking about basketball, on the pitch, he's a monster. He's 6'3". He's the size of the biggest players, but then he still has the vision, the movement, and the ability to take players on. Really impressive. Equal-footed, very gifted. If he didn't want to do basketball, he would have had a chance to definitely have a career in soccer.
I am feeling a little bit like Joe Buck right now, Mike, how he always feels that we got LSK and Los Pollos followers in the chat both thinking that we're rooting for the other one. We're totally in.
On us. Guys, we're sitting in the middle. We're sitting in the middle, please. If you're going to take it out on anybody, it's fine. Take it out on Jeff. It's fine.
This is Zach TTG's stream we've now gone to. He's taken on Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings. The winner of these two matchups will play each other, and then the winner of that will take on there's a dunk by Zach T2G, who's been bringing the energy all night.
It's very high scoring as well. It's not been a defensive game. We complimented Zach's defense in the first game where he's going up against Jamal. But this has been completely different. It's been back and forth action. We feel as if the shot clock got cut in half. There's not been any of that like late game development. First shot is the best shot.
Zach's telling him to stop playing the zone. That was textbook Rocket offense to throw it to the corner. Against a wide receiver, Justin Jefferson thinks the zone might be a little bit better.
He's going to pick a point to try to mix up anything and throw somebody off. It's kind of like in basketball. If, let's say you're playing 3-on-3, and one of you, it's not going well. The matchup isn't working. You might switch that matchup. The other guy doesn't defend any bit better, but the shots are missed. So it's a different look. And that's sometimes how it works for man-to-man versus going into a zone. Maybe the shot was still open, but for whatever reason, a little bit of a different look. Somebody else was coming out at him, and it threw off rhythm, and it made it work for you. It worked to your advantage. Might have nothing to do with the change, but anything to try to change or shift any sort of momentum that can put you in a position where you're now in an advantageous or you're getting some sort of advantage on the other end of the court. A lot of words there to describe basically changing something, even if it doesn't necessarily dictate everything directly, you can still shift it.
Now we're switching over to Justin Jefferson's comms, so we'll be able to hear him. Or maybe not this time around. We heard him earlier, perhaps in a similar boat to Zach T2G. He wants to throw off the comms right now.
Yeah, mute your mic. I'm very familiar with that as well. The games are getting too heated. I don't want to talk to anybody.
Listen, the guy's right. He's a professional football player. He's got a reputation to hold. Sometimes you just gets to be a close game. You're just better off muting the mic if you're streaming.
It's all about staying very focused. I know that that's been a reoccurring theme, but I keep stressing it because when you're competing, I don't want to chat, I don't want to talk to anybody, I don't need music, I just read the game. That's it. That's what you kind of see from Zach.
You guys looking for Joel in the chat? We'll have him after this matchup to recap everything about what's going on. Wait a minute! UA Embiid 1 challenge. You see that UA Embiid 1 in the top left. If you want it, check out UA.com, eastbay.com, or Under Armour stores. Also, we'll have some perhaps opportunities to win the Under Armour Embiid 1. So
Keep teasing it. How many are you giving away, Jeff?
I'm in the warehouse right now. All I'm going to say to everyone is know your Joel Embiid facts on a shot of face. Come on!
This has been narrowed. This is still in range. 7 points. Just under 4 minutes left. What the heck?
Zach's got the headset back on. No way.
Come on, you need that. I need that.
You're hearing Justin Jefferson's voice as well.
So I said, no, it was supposed to be my pentakill. Why did you die to me? I killed alone, 1, 2, 3 for champions. I can't believe it's rolling. No, it was supposed to be my pentakill. Why did you die to me?
That's gonna be the shot of YouTube thing in here. There's a quick pause and zoom on Zach's emotions right there, Mike.
No, absolutely. You could tell the more you look at Zach, a laser. If anything, he might have stressed himself out.
Why?
Of course, the other matchup right now is LSK against Rose. The winners of these two matchups already made it over that. Three. Put it back up. Right now, it's in that. You go.
crunch time right now. Oh, you can tell too. It's getting quiet, a lot less talking. Even Zach might have some reaction. You don't hear anything in between.
Zach trying to put this out of reach. Zach against Justin Jefferson. Los Pollos, TV, and LSK are the other matchup. And what?
Bro, you don't have to foul, bro.
Listen, Justin Jefferson, not necessarily a game and content creator, but we're getting some great audio from him right now.
The way that Zach's celebrating these free throws tells you everything. He definitely cares about this tournament, man. He wants to get to the final.
This is the other matchup you're watching from Los Pollos TV, and LSK missed the dunk! He missed the dunk, and now Los back the other way, trying to take the lead.
We could not have caught that switch at a better time. Unbelievable.
He's rocking with Kevin Durant, but hits Jarrett Allen down low, and Los Pollos TV now has the lead.
We were traveling mountains just to find an outer sea.
Los can't believe it. LSK throws it off his foot and keeps the ball.
You know LSK wants to get to the rack for LeBron. It's got to be the call. There it is.
That is pretty give it a go.
LeBron is a terminator in this game. Unstoppable.
Oh my God! 'Cause I am happy on this island. I wanna be my fallen. I don't ever want to leave. I'm in a tropic club. Let's go! Oh my God!
Los wild. Which is wild. Does he go for the last shot? Does he go early? What's happening?
Mikey's got 2 timeouts in his pocket, but I don't think he's going to use it.
Sweating right now. Throw it out there. I'm sweating for this match. How's the finish?
And
What's
for
the finish?
Los Pollos, no good, and Davis
He's got a
back
foul.
the
He's got a
other
foul. Still got time. 6 seconds. Nearly 6 seconds.
So this is LSK at the line. He's up 1 with the Lakers. Chris London, 2 shots. Low-key J.R. Smith coming up clutch.
Memories die out too hard.
Gotta
Gotta call a timeout.
Gotta call a timeout. I think you gotta drop the play for the early 3 as well. I don't see this being one of those try to get a quick 2 and then foul. See that work a lot in real life, but go ahead.
No, you can finish that thought.
You see that happen a lot in real life, but I feel in 2K that that's a dangerous game to play with the back and forth in hopes of getting the foul quick enough, getting the easy bucket, not missing the layup. And then even from a personnel perspective, I don't love the Brooklyn Nets if it's not KD or Kyrie Irving that get to the rack.
So we're seeing right now, it looks like Los is going to make Kevin Durant the power forward. We've seen him play really strong with Kyrie, but you see both Kyrie and Kevin Durant with low energy. Watch out for Joe Harris. And Los has to use the timeout. No one was going for the 3 ball. No one was going outside like you mentioned, Mike.
Gotta give credit though to Los as well to call that timeout. A lot of people right there, they don't have the poise, they're not gonna have the composure. You gotta shoot up a janky shot, game over. So now at least he gets a second chance, a different look.
I'm telling you, watch Joe Harris. This is Jarrett Allen, the inbound for Los Pollos TV. He gets it to Kyrie Irving, fade away, no good. And it is LSK, the first to move on. And it looks like he's going to get his 2-hype housemate, Zach TTG, who's trying to finish up Justin Jefferson here.
indeed. How Zax have scored 70 points in 4-minute quarters should almost be just applauded. This is so much offense for the format, for the shortened quarters. It's just rare
Houston
to see,
Rockets
especially-
basketball.
Yeah, completely Houston Rockets basketball. So two very different games for Zach. We saw a more defensive approach, and then he was able to counteract and have the transition buckets in the first game. And now in the second game, all-out offense, both players, no defense whatsoever.
70-59 is the final, and I think Zach is so locked in. He's probably looking right now. He's trying to figure out: am I playing against Chris? Who am I playing against right now? Chris or Los Pollos? As we see him start to get out of here and look through. But before we get to anything, we got to bring in our we call him our analyst here. Joel Embiid is coming in. He's, of course, the man of the show, the UA Embiid 1 Challenge. We're celebrating Joel Embiid's first ever signature sneaker with Under Armour. So we're going to bring in Joel in just a second. Mike, we got to take a second to catch our breath.
I'm telling you, I'm sweating. I'm sweating right now. Maybe I shouldn't have worn a sweater. The sweater's staying on, but I'm definitely it's hot in here. Very hot.
Well, we just saw two incredible games. Joel, we got to talk about that game between Los Pollos TV and LSK. It came down to the final shot with Kyrie Irving made away. How did you feel about that last second opportunity?
Well, first of all, I was kind of surprised. Usually, score is actually better. It's usually the better player, so I was actually surprised.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the same that we were talking about too. The analyst view, I was saying I've never really seen Los Pollos win that much in a lot of the games that he plays, and he kind of came out and he showed up. He hit a lot of 3 balls, made it really competitive. It was just too much LeBron at the end of the day with some of the buckets. I want to know where are you playing from right now? What's going on back there? Your backdrop looks a lot better than Jeff and I's backdrop. I want a little more of the insight. Like I don't even know what location you are in at the moment. What's going down? Is there a beach out there? What's popping?
Nah, I'm just I'm blessed enough to be able to do a nice place.
Joel, we're going to get... Yeah, we got to get one of those tables back there. That's a table. It looks almost like a swimming pool table. But Joel, we're going to get to see your NBA 2K skills out there later tonight. When you play the game, do you feel like you're playing kind of like the way you play your NBA game? You're working the ball inside, or how do you play? What's your style?
It's kind of like the same thing I think about when I'm actually playing as my son on the court and what I would do. So yeah, I'm kind of like an inside out type of player. And I don't shoot a lot of threes, so I just try to pull stuff and go from there.
And then defensively, I'm going to see more of an aggressive approach because we're seeing back and forth games. We just saw with Zach, where it was 70 to almost 60. I think it was 70 to 59 was the final scoreline. 4 minutes really super high scoring, or more of a defensive game where it's really working the clock, taking your time, making sure that you're playing the pick and rolls properly. How would you describe what's going to happen on the defensive end?
I think we gotta kind of take a grit and grind approach. Just slow the game down. Just try to get the best possible possessions that we can, and then defensively just protect the paint and make adjustments and go from there. If whoever I'm playing against is making a lot of threes, make some adjustments and make the drive. But the game plan is going to just protect the paint. Kind of like the way I play, just protect the paint and offensively just pound the ball in and go from there.
Sometimes you just got to trust the process when you're playing, I guess one might say.
You do. Yes, you do.
When you were down in Orlando, I mean, I know you guys were in the bubble for those few weeks that you were down there. What was it like playing video games? It felt like at the beginning that was all anyone was doing when they weren't practicing.
I mean, that's all I did. That's all I ever do, really. You mentioned earlier the weekend league. Just play FTT chat
That was my next question. I'm happy to hear this. I love it.
Yeah, so that's all I can really do. Honestly, besides, I mean, this is what practicing, basically in the hotel, in the room, not doing anything, and I'm kind of glad all I do really is either walk out or just play video games.
Quick follow-up. I gotta know. So you play in the weekend league for you guys at home. Maybe you don't play a lot of FIFA. It's a competitive game mode within FIFA, which already tells you that Joel is obviously very dedicated. Where do you finish? Where's your average finish for the weekend league?
Where do you finish? That's my question.
I went 29-1 last weekend. I'm feeling good. 29-1, baby, last weekend. I'm feeling good.
Oh, must be nice. No, I usually finish goal one. I get about 22 wins. I usually miss a week by this much. So I'm okay. I'm still learning. You gotta think about it. I recently just started playing F2 Champ. So I'm really onto the team. I'm probably I'll say like 3 or 4 months ago. So I'm just getting used to it. Before that, I was a big career mode guy, and now I'm just trying to learn and play against other guys and get better every day.
All right, well, we're going to see if you can get a little better at NBA 2K tonight. Well, you get to watch the next matchup and see who you're going to play, Joel. I'm sure you'll do some scouting, and we'll touch base with you after that matchup. So we'll see you later tonight. Thank you so much for stepping in here.
Thank you.
All right, Mike. Well, we've got a second here. All right, I want to get to some trivia for the people. All right, we mentioned that there'd be a way for you to win the UA Embiid one. How about this? We've got a trivia question for the folks at home. Can we partake in this? Are we up for the? You can give me an answer in the chat. The question is, what U.S. college basketball team did Joel play for before entering the NBA? Is it A, Kansas Jayhawks, B, Duke Blue Devils, C, Villanova Wildcats, or D, Michigan State? They are the Spartans. Let's hear it in the chat. Your chance to win a UA Embiid one.
They better not miss that question. On a side note, you better not miss that question.
We've tried tonight to steer people. We can kind of give a little tease of that, all right? So again, put your answer in the chat there. What do you think? Where do you think Joel Embiid went to college? You just saw those answers, and someone is going to get a UA Embiid one. And I think it's, do we have another interview right now? Is that what I'm hearing, Mike?
Yeah,
we are. We got another
on the street.
Word on the street. So let's see. We've got Justin Jefferson with us. Wow, Justin, look, we weren't sure what to expect, right? Minnesota Vikings breakout star receiver. I told the people at home you're 6th in receiving yards per game this year, 11th in receiving yards. We didn't know about the NBA 2K skills. You hung with Zach TTG. What happened there?
Man, I'm blaming on 2K, man. I should have had the dub. They cheated me a little bit, but you know it's all good. He's a great 2K player, and we had a good game.
I love that. That's like the most relatable thing. You gotta blame it. It's the game. It's not us. It's never us. I agree with you completely. It's the game. It's definitely the game. So speaking of the game, I'm assuming that you play with your teammates. Who else is good? Or are you at the top? Like, what games are y'all playing? Is it just 2K, or do you mix it up?
I ain't gonna lie. I mix it up a little bit. You know, I play a little bit of 2K, Madden. I used to play Call of Duty a lot, but I mean, some guys on the team like Tajay Sharp is really good. Irv Smith is really good. Dalvin Cook is really good at Madden. He beats everybody, so he's the king at Madden right now.
You're, of course, coming from playing at LSU last year. You guys won the national title. While you were on that run, video games right there with the team, on the plane, in the dorms.
Oh, of course, 100%. We going at it in 2K, having 2K tournaments. The whole time we in the hotels for games. I mean, it went platinum up in there. You know, we was going crazy. Just playing a group of games. So yeah, it was a great time.
And I know your career is just getting started, obviously, with the season, but is there any moments that have just really stuck out? Not maybe gaming related, because you've had such an awesome and prospering career, you know, from going from high school to LSU, now into the league, and everything has been elevated. You've done really well everywhere you've gone. Has been anything that's really been memorable to you?
I mean, I'll just have to say, you know, last season was just, I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, it still doesn't even feel real that, you know, we accomplished the things that we accomplished. And to go 5-0 undefeated, you know, beating teams like Bama, Florida, you know, different big SEC teams, and, you know, finishing out with the win and being 15-0, it was crazy. It was amazing.
We got you as an Under Armour athlete. You get to see the UA Embiid one out here tonight. What do you think about that, seeing Joel Embiid's first ever signature sneaker with Under Armour?
Oh, it looks good. It looks very comfortable. You know, whenever I go hoop in the off season, I definitely got to cop me a pair and go hoop. So, you know, whenever he won his one-on-one, you know, I'm here for it.
Yeah, 2K. I was gonna say, if 2K is listening, we should put together like a dunk package. We should have a Justin Jefferson dunk package.
Definitely
You gotta have like close to a 40-inch vertical. I mean, I know you have to get sky and everything.
We definitely gotta have a dunk package, and we gotta add the gritty. We gotta add the gritty downstairs.
All right. Well, Mike LaBelle wants the UA Embiid one as a soccer cleat. You can have it hopefully one day as a football cleat. Justin, unfortunate result tonight, but we appreciate you taking the time.
Appreciate it.
All right. Good luck with the rest of the season to Justin Jefferson. Mike, now we got to focus back in NBA 2K mode. UA Embiid one challenge comes down to this. The guys from 2 Hype, Zach TTV is going to take on LSK. Winner gets a shot at Joel Embiid. I think Zach has had the easier road, all right? But LSK being battle tested with 2 really close matchups. How do you feel about this?
I don't like how you just come out here and say he had the easier road. I don't think that's been established. We don't know the strength of schedule. I didn't play against these oppositions. Just because you have one close game doesn't mean that that's all of a sudden was a harder route. Maybe you didn't bring your A game. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Just saying.
I get it.
Just an observation. But I think this is fitting, right? We have both the guys from 2 Hype, veterans in the game, really good friends.
And guys that you know beyond just scouting each other, play against each other all the time. I mean, we're talking about
everything.
In everything. We're talking about like foods in the oven. You know, we got 20 minutes, let's fire up 2K, play 4-minute quarters. Like, they've done this so many times. They're going to have a tremendous audience that's going to come in. It's going to be really interesting. Do you have, in the FIFA world, is there someone that knows, you know their game so much, they know your game? If you guys were playing against each other, you know, it'd be like there's no secrets.
Well, I don't know if I have someone that close of a connection at the moment, but I will say that I play with George often, who's another pro player for the New York Red Bulls, and I feel like we've gotten to that point of understanding what each other's looking to accomplish, because whether we're playing exhibition or practice matches or just online for the people, you get an idea how somebody thinks. And that's why I bring up everything, because even if it comes down to how you play basketball in real life, that also translates to how you play the video game often, and your mentality and just mental habits. A lot of it is instincts and what you're willing to do as well to get wins.
Jamal, who lost to Zach in the first round, is out in the chat saying, Zach got the layup bracket, LOL. We meant no disrespect. He might just be blowing people out. Mike's exactly right. That sort of strength of schedule might have just been there. Shout out in the chat. Who do you have? Do you have Zach? Do you have LSK?
Give us a score, too. Give us the score. Don't just say one or the other. I want all the details, because people always hit you up in the chat saying, I told you this was going to happen. Don't leave us hanging. Let us know all the specifics to be specific.
See, this comes back a little bit about what we talked about, Mike, that they're not playing with the same teams they've been playing with, the Rockets and the Lakers. We're getting right now the Clippers against the Nuggets. And it looks like we're going to have LSK with the Nuggets and Zach with the Clippers.
Oh, they're already talking. We've already seen pauses. They're already having the back and forth. You hear them yelling at each other. All the above. This is what we came here for.
All the way back. I'm not doing that again. They don't know yet. They don't know. How? You can't pause. Yeah, you can, as long as you use the timeout after you pause. It almost doesn't matter whose point of view we'll watch, because we'll be able to hear them so vividly yapping at each other throughout the night.
You're pausing. I'm freaking pausing.
Oh, what is this? You really have to sweat, bro. You really have to sweat like this. Nah, you really have to sweat like this. Is sad, bro. This is sad, man. It's like, oh. Really sweat. So we've got absolutely petty wars to start this thing, as we've got dueling pauses between Zach T2G and LSK. So we're gonna get to that really soon. But what we do have to give you guys right now is an answer to our trivia question. All right, let me get confirmation from production that I can give out the winner right now. We're gonna have that winner. The answer to the trivia question was the Kansas Jayhawks. We're going to have the announcement of who our winner was in just a second.
Everybody in the chat better got that right. I just want to be very clear. No one should have missed that.
I'll tell you the person who got this right and who's our winner is Philly0024. Philly0024. Congrats on that. You said Kansas Jayhawks. You said A. You knew where Joel Embiid. And you have earned yourself a pair of the UA ones. That was pretty simple for them, Mike.
I mean, they should not be missing it. That's a gift. That is the absolute giveaway of all giveaways. Well, maybe we should be talking about Santa Claus. I know it's not December, but that is an easy pickings. And I'm surprised by the team switch a little bit. You've seen a switch from both players now. We've got the LA Clippers and also the Denver Nuggets. And I wonder if it's because they know each other, if they did some sort of draw, or what was discussed here maybe behind the scenes. I'm not sure if you went into it as we got things underway, but it's a little bit. I understand the Clippers, but I will say that the Rockets were working so well. Why switch that up?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking to Justin Jefferson when we were choosing teams. My guess is that, as good as the Rockets are, I don't know if anyone wants to play against the Lakers right now, and Zach might have just said, man, Lakers are off the table. It might have been that they picked teams they couldn't beat.
I feel like we're missing some piece of information. Both players swapped their teams.
Well, I'm sure there'll be a story behind that, and I'm sure we'll get that perhaps with their own content later on. These two guys from 2 Hype taking each other on. Zach is playing as the Clippers, and LSK is playing with the Nuggets. This is actually a series that we saw in the playoff bubble. In the second round of the playoffs, a lot of people had the Clippers, and it was the Nuggets taking this series when these two teams met in the playoffs.
An unbelievable series. I mean, incredible with Murray and just everything that was able to be accomplished in this. From a team perspective, I don't think you need to be an analyst to say on paper the Clippers have a better team. So the fact that the Nuggets were able to get the job done is so impressive. And if you're just tuning in right now, this is the finals. And the winner will play against Joel Embiid between LSK and between Zach. And if you see that lovely shoe there in the top corner, that is the Under Armour Embiid ones, brand new. You can pick those up off East Bay, UnderArmour.com, or any of the Under Armour brand houses.
That was a bad release, bro. That was not green.
Corner specialist, man.
And there they are taking each other on. Now we get LSK's point of view from the Nuggets side.
And because LSK was so dependent on LeBron James with the offensive approach, that's why I'm so surprised that he made this change, this shift. And maybe not that he just changed teams, but he also doesn't. He didn't pick a team that has a player that he can rely on the same way. No, don't get me wrong. Murray is still a fantastic player, but he's not the same type of body build as LeBron James.
It looks pretty good for them right there.
As we just run through the middle, and don't listen to me.
It's a different sort of game. You don't have that big forward stuff earlier on. And even when we're not on Zach's screen, you can hear him yelling through the headset of LSK. the answer is yes.
We do read the chat.
And we're seeing, I see. And so they're saying that they went random. They did random teams.
There we go. Fair enough.
Chat, we were
Well,
doing
this is actually pretty good random. So, yeah, we're doing an interview. We're a little late on the chat game. Our apologies.
Well, that's what I want to know, chat. Did they do one random, or did they do three, or did they say that
they had multiple randoms to have a Denver versus LA Clippers? You would think there had to have been
that's what I
3 randoms. The chat's telling us no. There we go. 3 randoms. Appreciate it, chat. When in doubt, we're blame Jeff. It's all good. Appreciate you, Jeff.
I see Addison K says, tell Joel I said his shoes are good. We'll let him know when we see him. He's watching right now, so he knows exactly what you're saying.
Can't wait to try these out. I love that there's that big stretch between a new type of shoe that's kind of more this point forward where you can go inside and you can go outside and so forth and so on. We really haven't seen that combination work throughout the years. It's been a lot of, this is clearly a guard shoe, this is clearly a big man shoe, and we haven't had that natural integration that's kind of had that free flow.
Got to hear Joel talk about the shoe earlier on here in the One Challenge. He got to wear the shoe a little bit in the bubble. You got to see it in action. A rare sort of opportunity where because the season was pushed back so much, the shoe coming out in September, him being in the bubble in August, he was able to wear it.
That's great before you actually put it out to the public. You can test everything. Say, okay, I like this, I don't like this. What are other pro players saying? You get a lot of feedback.
Well, you heard Joel talk about that when we asked him about it earlier. Guys in Orlando were like, "Wait, what? You got a shoe? What's that? What's that?" It was cool to hear Joel talk about that earlier. He'll be back. He'll be back on the stream a little bit more to talk to you guys.
Well, we're gonna hear from him after this game, and then he's playing the winner. He's not going anywhere. It's gonna be live stream. We're gonna have that back and forth. He's the final boss.
And it looks like we are getting word that he might be playing right after this. They might, I don't know if that's Joel's doing, that he wants to keep whoever wins this on their toes, but it looks like we might be going right to that, and then we'll have Joel at the end of the night.
We heard his strategy as well. He might have given away a little bit of information. Say he's going to back it down, look for good shots, play a little more of a defensive approach to the game, slow it down. Like I said, really dictate the pace. I was impressed as well that he's on the cusp of being an elite player in FIFA. So if you're winning 21, 22 games over the weekend league, it's out of 30 games, to give you an idea. So that means he's 22-8. So he's 1 game away from being into the next category.
I think he was taken off guard when I asked about his style of plays. Like, Jeff, are you trying to get me to reveal something right now? You know?
Yeah,
like
no
I was in, like he thought, like
I'm
I
not
might have been in.
talking. Yeah, you're part of the
might have been-
oppositions. He's like, no, Jeff.
He's like, is this guy in full beat reporter mode? We're seeing Clippers Nuggets right now. If you're just joining us, UA Embiid 1 challenge. Zach TTG playing as the Clippers. You're watching from the viewpoint of LSK, who's playing as the Nuggets. Winner wins our 6-person bracket and gets to take on Joel Embiid.
And Zach's starting to pull away here. Got an 11-point spread.
Morris, come on, bro. There's no way.
These guys were talking a lot more to each other in the first quarter than the second quarter.
Well, I think Zach's still talking. But when you're down, it's harder to make the argument that, hey, things are going. Yeah, I got to talk trash if you're not winning the game, right? So I think Chris is just trying to dial in.
I see someone in the chat, Philly 0024, who won our UA Embiid 1 trivia question, says that Joel should start at point guard and make Ben power forward. I think Joel wants to win. No gimmicks out here.
The chat says, too, if the clips don't fall apart in the fourth, it's rigged. Shots fired.
Dude, what is
Look,
this
there's a whole
league,
domino
bro?
effect. The
Every
Clippers losing to the
time.
Nuggets is part of the reason that Doc Rivers is now Joel Embiid's head coach in Philadelphia. And LSK won a classic right before this, 58-55 over Los Pollos TV. Zach had a tough one against Justin Jefferson that he was able to muscle out.
When we talk about focus as well, you can tell that Chris looks defeated at the moment. He looks a little bit beat in this game. He's gonna need some sort of momentum shift. Maybe he gave everything for the Los Pollos matchup.
Well, he also knows Zach's game, and he might know that if Zach has a lead like this, look at Zach locked in, up 12. You know, he knows that this guy's tough to beat when he's got that look on his face.
And the chat is blowing up right now talking about the shoes, saying that they're on board with them. I think a lot of people are coming from Los Pollos stream as well.
Oh, Kawhi.
First ever signature sneaker for Joel Embiid, technically entering his 7th NBA season. He sat out those first 2 with injury, now getting his signature sneaker. We heard Joel talk about it earlier tonight. It's not a center shoe. It's not a point guard shoe. It's a shoe that's able to do both. And really what he said to us, Mike, is he doesn't look at himself as necessarily a traditional center. You know, he wants to have that shoe where he's able to move around the court, where he's able to take jump shots. And that's what makes this shoe so unique.
And I'd agree with him. The NBA has shifted so much, because I even think back, and this might show my age a little bit, into the later 90s or the early 2000s. And the game was just different. There was a lot more of the traditional back down center. You needed that position. Sometimes you had 2 of them with the power forward, and then it went to being able to shoot mid-range jumpers. And now it's gone all the way to the point where so much of the game happens beyond the arc. And some of that's just a percentage play. It's also much higher scoring. I also remember when you could hand check on the defensive end. I'm not saying that was good or that was bad, but you could do it. So it was very, very physical for pushing people around and not maybe moving your feet quite the same.
Come on.
Zach gets that to go with Paul George. I still have rec basketball referees like in the back of my head saying, "Don't reach, don't reach."
Good times, good times.
We're at the half here. Zach TTG with a big advantage over his 2 hype mate, LSK. LSK with the win over Los Pollos to get here. He also beat Cole the Man earlier on. Zach TTG started his night beating Jamal, our East Bay contest winner, and then knocked off Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson in the last round.
And Zach's yet to have a very close game. He's been able to kind of always pull away and have that spread. Also look good with multiple teams now. I'm curious in the final if he's going to go back to the Rockets or if he's going to go a different direction. Obviously, we're going to see Joel Embiid with the 76ers. So
We're
it's not gonna be
assuming.
the
We're assuming.
randomizer. Has
We're
to be.
assuming.
Come on. If you're in the game, you're playing with you. If I'm in any of these video games, you're not seeing me ever choose anybody else. I'm doing this. I'm playing out of position as well. He's talking about how he didn't look at himself as maybe a traditional center, which is true. I wouldn't be surprised if he lines up as the point guard.
What position did you play in soccer, Mike?
Yeah,
I played as more of an old school striker, a lot of back to goal.
Bro.
I wish that I could say that the way that I play FIFA is the way that I
So
play.
basically
soccer.
posting up.
I mean, I was in an era where it became a lot of the teams tactically were looking for singular strikers, which was wonderful, and a lot of deep balls. You had that one outlet, and then you put a bunch of these small, skillful players around you, and you'd lay it off to them. You'd win the headers. You'd go chase down some of those opportunities.
We will see this matchup.
Wait,
right
what about?
now.
Wait, hold on. I know you didn't play soccer, but basketball, where are you playing? You playing
Who
as a
said
one?
I
You
didn't
playing
play
as a
soccer?
two? I know you don't play soccer. You only played after the World Cup in 2010. You told me when you pulled into like you were.
I'm a full. Put me on the right wing. Let me run. I'll say with basketball, I played a lot of point guard. I wanted to play point guard. My dad, who usually coached me, always wanted me to play shooting guard because he felt like I was just better off the ball. Like that's where my IQ was better, running around and getting jump shots. But the problem is when you're 5'9", Mike, you can't. You're kind of giving up. You're a lot playing shooting guard for your team.
I hear you, man. I would definitely describe myself as being a little more of a tweener. At 6'1", I could play the 1 and I could play the 2, but I think I was better suited to be more of a 2 that could handle the ball.
If I was 6'1", I'd be an NBA point guard right now.
Exactly what I was thinking. When I look at you, I scream out inside and say, this guy had potential to be in the league.
That's what people have told me. They said just 4 more inches. You're not quite Nate Robinson. You need a little bit more on the bone. Now, this is interesting right now as LSK is trying to get it going with Jokic, because you mentioned that he doesn't have LeBron this game. I feel like you can, Jokic isn't as strong as LeBron, but he's such a good passer. You could run the offense through him, and maybe that's what he's going to try to do more here in the second half.
To a certain degree. I mean, you can't count on Jokic to dribble. He's definitely got the ability to take it outside. He's got the post moves. He can shoot the mid-range. His passing is good to go, but he is a little bit limited in terms of taking players on or being able to get past people from a dribbling circumstance or an isolation.
Give me that! Oh, what defense with Patrick Beverly for Zach TTG, and he almost hits the 3. This is what I mentioned to you before we even went on the air, Mike, that playing with the Clippers, when you're playing with a bench, right? When you're playing with exhaustion on, you need that depth. And to bring a guy like Patrick Beverly perhaps off the bench, or Lou Williams or Montrezl Harrell with this team, that's what makes the Clippers such a good NBA 2K team.
Having depth is always going to come into play, especially when, let's say that a couple players aren't shooting well, then you could sub them out. You have that option. And most of the best teams are going to have some more variety or just more depth in general for because it's important in case you have injuries, and it doesn't really necessarily apply as much in 2K, but in general here, you definitely want to have depth, especially for a long season or even a long game if you're playing with exhaustion on.
We see a cold ring with Millsap, but look, LSK, no fear, gets it down low to Millsap, takes him off that cold ring. Nice little play. He's looking nifty this quarter. It just might have been too much of a first half advantage for Zach.
Yeah, I feel that Chris is looking a little more focused. I mean, there was a moment there in the first half where he looked completely out of the game in terms of being really dialed in. And when you're playing, it's all about the small details, especially if both guys are at a similar level.
If Zach is a good guy, assuming he'll win this game, he'll find a way to get LSK maybe a little content with Joel Embiid, I don't know if he's going to come into his room or something like that.
Well, considering that they are in the same location, you're right. Maybe Chris becomes the coach. The coach that you didn't want to sign up for. The tallest coach that we've ever seen.
Yeah, you got to wonder what chair he's in right now playing. As we're getting Chris's viewpoint right now. You see him working on his subs a little bit. He's trying maybe it's not his ball, so he's got to hold on here, keep it at 14 points headed into the fourth.
Gonna have to have a perfect fourth quarter to have a chance here.
That's not going to go for Kawhi. So he's going to have something to work for there. Down 14, headed into the fourth quarter. We mentioned these two teams playing in the bubble against each other. Mike, what'd you find most interesting about the NBA bubble? The portion, the end of the regular season, the playoffs, the Lakers taking it all. What'd you think?
Well, from my viewing perspective, it was kind of weird to not see a crowd and to not have that ambiance or that atmosphere that we're used to, especially with basketball in particular, because with the dunks and the incredible plays, you're used to people erupting. You have all these high energy moments. And when players or when teams make runs, it just feels a little bit different. It took some getting used to, but I'm also not there in-house. Yeah. None of us are. We weren't part of the bubble. I'm watching from the outside in. So to see the virtual audience and to see or to witness the lack of that really, I don't know, moment maybe that's always captured. When you think playoffs especially, you're thinking everybody goes to every game. You're thinking back and forth between the home fans and the away fans. There's drama. There's all this different levels of emotion. And not saying it wasn't there, but it had shifted a little bit and took some getting used to. But I'm so happy that it happened because we needed sports. I didn't realize how different life felt when you don't have sports.
Right now, we've got some NBA 2K UA Embiid 1 challenge. Zach TTG against LSK. Winner of this matchup takes on Joel Embiid in NBA 2K21 right after this. You're watching from LSK's viewpoint with the Nuggets. Zach TTG playing with the Clippers. And now all of a sudden it's a 10-point game. A little bit of energy right now from LSK.
Dancing, get some of that transition. You can see defensively as well, a little bit of a shift.
Jeff Eisenband, Mike LaBelle. Joel Embiid has been the third member of our broadcast booth, we'll say. But he will be playing after this. So he's scouting right now. He's locking in.
I definitely think Joel Embiid would prefer to play Chris, solely because Chris has gone inside a lot more, which I think plays into what he sounds like he wants to do, as opposed to Zach, who's definitely shot a lot more three-pointers, look for sometimes the outside or beyond the arc, that part of his game before going inside, before looking for some of the layoffs or some of those quick passes, the backdoor cuts.
I think you were going to say Joel would definitely prefer to play one of us.
I don't know what your level is at currently, but I think that playing me would be better than playing one of these two.
I'll tell you what, I played I played yesterday as, I was doing some play now mode just to get me in the right headspace for this. And I played as the Lakers, and I wasn't playing well against the computer. And I was like, what's going on? What's going on? And I played as the 76ers today to get ready for what we think will be Joel playing as the 76ers. And I look good. So I don't know if it was just the team aspect of that the 76ers have a little bit of that nice inside-outside game. But sometimes it's the team when it comes to play now mode.
I mean, you want to get in where you fit in. Even if a team's great on paper or even in real life, it might not fit what you're looking to accomplish or how you naturally play. It's just like if you're very gifted with some of the crossovers. You got to have players that can still execute them properly.
Come on, Lou.
And even Zach still getting frustrated. He's got a nice, with the free throw, 11-point advantage with under 2 minutes to play, but he's got such hype, such energy about him.
I think this one's done. I think it's pretty safe to say this at this point with 1:48 left, 13-point lead. But give credit to Chris. He really battled back in the second half. It was just too little too late. In the first half, he looked kind of distraught, and it put him in a position where there wasn't enough clock for him to really create this comeback unless he was perfect in the second half.
LSK is going to need to harness the power of that UAHOVR technology in the UA Embiid 1, trying to figure out something out. He's got the micro G in the shoe, trying to give him one last push. But I don't think that's going to happen, Mike. I think it's Zach TTG's night.
And based on what we have seen from Zach, I'm expecting a high-scoring affair against Joel Embiid as well. Even though I know Joel was trying to say that he's going to play more on the defensive end, try to slow down the game, Zach's done such a good job with offensive tempo.
We got people in the chat saying, run the clock out. They're coaching up Zach T2G, who is just moments away from taking on Joel Embiid in NBA 2K. Mike, who's the highest profile soccer player you've played FIFA against?
Oh, I was going to say, you know who would surprise you? I'm going to go a different direction. It's not a soccer player, but you of course know Trevor Noah?
Yep.
Trevor Noah is amazing at FIFA. Might be the best person I've played that's in that category of being famous or being a presenter, a host, an athlete, an actor. He's actually verified, and verified means that you're qualified to compete in competitive events. So he's that good. So he's a competitive player, almost at a pro level. I don't know where he finds the time as well. I have no idea when is he playing and everything, because we did a collaboration together, and the way he was talking about the game, I was like, wait a second. This guy knows everything from all these details of just new foot items and new introductions of different players and a lot of the intricacies that just you couldn't have that conversation with everybody. And then we played in a 2v2, and I was super impressed. I was like, I'd love to play this guy some more in a one-on-one setting. And he had beaten a couple pro players. So shout out
And
to
not
Trevor Noah.
younger than other late night hosts, but not exactly, your young Gen Z FIFA player.
No, not at all. Not at all. So I think he's one of those guys that's gifted at a lot. We just keep dropping compliments. But yeah, Trevor Noah's got to be, 35, 36 years old? So way out of your gaming prime, you would think. I've also played Ocho quite a few times. I don't know if he's as good as he promotes, but he is decent at PvP. Like he'll definitely win way more than he loses. No doubt about that.
Well, Zach TTG won everything tonight. He won 3 times. He is our champion of this portion of the bracket, the content creator, the NFL player, the contest award winner. We knew there was a chance going in. We talked about it, that he would be the guy. What impressed you the most about Zach TTG tonight?
I think the most impressive part of his gameplay was that he was not only able to adapt to his opposition, but also that he hit the shots. And something that we saw that ran into a constant conflict or an issue as we were advancing through the bracket is a lot of guys are missing open shots or they're missing some of those 50-50s. We saw a lot of greens from Zach, which means he knows the releases, he knows the teams. He's been playing the game. We talked about it early on that he's got to be one of the early favorites just because he's not only good at NBA 2K, but good at a lot of games. He just has that in his arsenal. You've ever matched up or you have a friend that's just good at a bunch of video games? Because I've got a couple of them. I think he falls into that category.
Well, we congratulate Zach TGG, but his night is not done. Joel Embiid is waiting on the other side. They are getting ready to go. They will have their own matchup as we see the bracket. That's what Zach TTG combed through. Jamal, Justin Jefferson, and then his buddy Chris London, LSK. And now he gets the final boss, Joel Embiid.
I'd like to ask Joel, actually, from a controller standpoint, does anything really work well? Because, I mean, his hands have to be so much bigger than anybody or everyone. So I'm just wondering, do you start to work on a custom controller at that point, or do you have to adapt? Because certain locations for, some of the, I guess, the buttons and triggers that you have to put together and the modifiers, it's got to be uncomfortable in different ways, as opposed to being able to reach around and do everything.
You need, a big Nintendo 64 controller, right? You need, the big, wide... somehow they need to make it's like going to big and tall, right? They need to start making controllers that are made for NBA players. We didn't ask. We need to, if perhaps later on, we got to ask what size Joel is wearing in these UA Embiid ones. Listen, what a night we've had so far. UA Embiid 1 challenge. And, as we've talked about, eastbay.com, UA.com, Under Armour brand houses, or where you can get these shoes. We've got to hear some insight, right, from Joel Embiid, and we heard it from Justin Jefferson a little bit earlier. As the night has progressed, what have you been thinking about these shoes, Mike?
I want to put them into action. I would like to test them myself. I like the way they look visually. Perfect. Great. So now it's the next step is then, all right, how do I utilize these on the actual court? How's my pick and roll? Are they sticky? Does the movement good? Are they comfortable? So that's the next step here. I'm ready to go. That's my takeaway though. I'm ready to go, and I'm excited for this new colorway or colorways that Mr. Embiid hinted at. And then I got a lot of shoes. So I'm just interested to see what I can put together in terms of an on the court ensemble or unit. I don't. How many pairs of basketball shoes do you have? I should ask you. How many pairs of basketball shoes do you have?
I have,
Jeff.
I have too many. Like we're talking 25.
Ooh, okay. So you have more than me then for basketball shoes. Maybe I got more sneakers than you, but you have more basketball shoes than I've got.
I have 1 pair of soccer cleats. Let's put it that way. You probably have more than I do there. By the way, Mike, you just mentioned the colorways. The Origins colorway is the one that a lot of you have seen tonight. That's inspired by Cameroon, where Joel Embiid, of course, grew up. The Lawrence colorway, that red, blue, white, a tribute to Kansas. Those two we have actually seen. We know that they exist, and Joel talked about other colorways coming down the pipeline. We're going to get Joel in just a second taking on Zach TTG. I saw in the chat, I'm looking at Hoodie Cuddy says Embiid dropping 60 for himself. Addison K 78. Joel going to score every point with himself. A lot of people think Joel's just going to hog the ball with his virtual self.
If that happened, I would be impressed. Sorry, I would be impressed if he's able to do that.
But I think he's so competitive that I think he's just going to try to do what he can to win the game.
I mean, in theory, but I'm all for that movement. Or if you're gonna push that agenda, Like, please send me the calendar invite where Joel Embiid scores all the points with himself. I'll accept. I want to be there for it. I mean, that's pretty impressive if you're able to put that together because everybody knows who's shooting the ball. And you're just saying, nah, get off me. Get off me. This is my time. Boom, dunk. Little spin move. Lay it up. Step back. Still got that. All the
They
above.
they are setting up that game, by the way. It's going to be Zach TTG taking on Joel Embiid, our final boss, our host. This has been a celebration of Joel Embiid and his UA Embiid 1. Of course, we might have some more opportunities coming up. If you're trying to get one of those sneakers, you can also, if you can't wait, eastbay.com, ua.com, or any Under Armour brand house. If you want to get that sneaker, we're just moments away. Shout out in the chat. Is Zach TTG or do you have Joel Embiid? What do you got? We've been talking a lot. We've got to see Zach 3 times tonight. We haven't seen Joel at all. Mike, if you have some advice for Joel, what does he need to do to contain the undefeated champ so far tonight, Zach TTG?
I think it's going to be really important more so on the defense. Especially in sports titles in particular, the skill separation or the skill gap is created defensively. It's always been like this, and it will be no different in 2K. So is he able to force bad shots? Is he able to contest shots? You're not going to have big mistakes. Can you force maybe a cold ring versus having a takeover that you have to deal with? And from what we've seen with Zach in particular, even though he's a good team player, he has still relied. He definitely pushed with James Harden heavily. The man had the ball at all times when he was using the Rockets. With the Clippers, he played a little more team ball, but he also had a better matchup if we're just looking at the teams. Clippers, Nuggets on paper all day. Clippers have the better players all around anywhere on the court. And even as you mentioned,